know me nice and steady. And we can jump like kitty 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 kitty. We have a style like kitty 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 kitty.
9:30 in the studio. That's the sounds of Kes on the remix, getting some help from J Boog and J Parry. Oh yes, and he's gonna be here in St. Kitts, man. I'm going to take a quick break, and then after the break we have SKELEC PowerTalk. But I just want to let you guys know about this special that's happening down at BT Duty Free. And they're celebrating Mom's Special Day with a sweet Mother's Day promotion. All products will be on sale on Friday 12th and Saturday 13th of May at 15% off. You can check them out on Liverpool Road Bastille across from the taxi stand. So let your mom know you care with a special gift from BT Duty Free. We'll be back right after these messages.
It's the morning show.
Each day we see how unpredictable life can be. So let Nagico Insurances help you prepare and safeguard what matters most. We provide solid coverage you can depend on, like life insurance to provide financial security for those you love, medical that covers dental, vision, and preventative care, and auto insurance with comprehensive coverage so you can drive with confidence. For all your insurance needs, visit us at Nagico.com. Nagico Insurances, fast, fair, and always there.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow! Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Power Talk. My name is Patrice Harris, and I am the Corporate Communications Manager at SKELEC. PowerTalk is a radio program brought to you by our institution to ensure that customers remain updated on all of the latest occurrences at SKELEC. I'm sure you're well aware that SKELEC has been very involved, very enthused, and very energetic over the past week or two, engaged in several activities. Once you follow us on social media, you will be able to see the pictures of what has been happening at SKELEC. Last week, we celebrated World Day for Health and Safety at Work. I think I got that correct. And there were several activities that were included in that week of celebrations. This morning, I have with me the General Manager, Mr. Clement Jomo Williams, and Mrs. Claricia Langley Stevens, the Safety and Security Manager at SKELEC. We felt that it was important to come on this radio program to speak to the public about the activities that took place last week, especially because there was a bit of a public scare that we want to address and explain to persons what exactly we were trying to accomplish. So today is 1 week since we had our simulation drills at SKELEC. I'm going to allow Mrs. Langley Stevens to first introduce herself, say hello to our listening and viewing audience, and explain to us what a simulation drill is and what drills we did last week.
Good morning. Thank you, Patrice. Good morning to everyone in Radio Land. I want to use the opportunity to thank everyone for their cooperation and support over the last week where we celebrated World Day of Health and Safety at SKELEC, as we would have partnered with the Ministry of Employment and Labour. And that week of activities highlighted some of the best practices of our industry in terms of what we are doing to improve and enhance safety and security and health and wellness measures within the company, as well as to partner with key stakeholders to be able to ensure that there is that understanding, and of course making the necessary adjustments as we go where gaps were identified. And so the highlight of the week would have been Wednesday, exactly 1 week ago today. And if I look at the time now, we would have been currently engaged in our first simulation drill at our downtown administration office, where the lead person on that would have been our general manager, Mr. Clement Williams. And so it's not an accident that he's here with me on the program today. We would have done an intruder, and so we wanted to ensure that our staff and customers alike understood the appropriate response for an intruder in the company, noting that SKELEC downtown office is also revenue generating. We wanted to create a real life situation where somebody would have invaded the building for whatever reason, became disgruntled, alerted that they were weaponized, and watched to see what the responses were. I can tell you that it was a tremendous success. What we would have envisioned as the response, our security detail, our management team, staff, and customers would have adhered to the response and instructions of our security detail, and of course the response of our first responders through police, fire, and EMS. So that was a tremendous success. And then right after that, we moved into Shellane, where we were able to expose our linesmen, most of which attended the linesman rodeo 2 weeks prior, to be able to demonstrate firsthand, never been done before, with a real individual, because normally use dummies, as to what is entailed in a pole top hurt man rescue. And that is, what if one of our employees got hurt while they were at the top of the pole, what level of response, the type of response, and the equipment that would be used to be able to rescue that person. That in and of itself requires a conversation, because we did get responses that we were looking for, and of course even in some areas responses that we were not anticipating. But it was a success, and I'll explain later. And right after that, we were able to work with the bomb squad of the police force, where we simulated a bomb scare at our annex, and that's in the area of the Water Services Department, where we have one of our buildings occupied by employees. And right after that, we moved to our generation plant, where we had what is referred to as a medical emergency in a sterile area on the generation compound, where not the normal response would have done the trick. And so we had to make sure that in the scenario we built in the discovery of the sick individual, testing our protocols in terms of when one of our employees would have been missing for a while, what is the protocol to be adopted, level of response, and the first responders protocol. So I think those 4 exercises would have occupied the Wednesday and gave us some excellent lessons that we could learn from.
So I think it's important for the public to understand that while it is the case that none of our employees outside of the team that crafted these activities were aware of what is taking place, while it is the case that there was some alarm that took place, there were pictures and videos circulating about someone being electrocuted, about a robbery in our downtown office. These were drills. These were for us to be able to test how well are we doing when it comes to responding and preparing for challenges like these. So Mr. Williams, I want you to speak to some of the benefits, why we decided to do it, why you approved and signed off on that. I'm sure that your phone was ringing like crazy on Wednesday. I was on vacation, but my phone was ringing as well. So let's talk about why it was important to do these drills.
All right, good morning everyone. Since forming the Safety and Security Department last year, headed by Mrs. Langley Stevens, it has been the #1 priority of that department to emphasize the need for safe practices in our day-to-day work. So, being the week for World Safety at Work, Mrs. Stevens came to me with the idea to put on a number of drills. So as she was going through the list, I said, okay, that's going to be an interesting one. What location you have for this one? Really? This one? I want to see how that one is going to come off. So it really was indeed something that I was very open to as the general manager, because we're at SKELEC, our #1 priority is safety, not only for our employees, but for our customers and our partners as well. Mrs. Stevens mentioned that we did partner with Fire and Rescue, Police, EMS, Red Cross, the Defense Force, and Labor Department on all of the different exercises. The responses in all 4 scenarios were tremendous. They exceeded our expectations. We singled out some key managers, employees, and even the general public who played critical roles in ensuring that all the drills went to success. I remember when I was at Shea Lane, the residents came out the house and they were like, oh, take him out the sun, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, call 911. So like they were assisting, and I was very proud to see the level of responsiveness that took place during the drills. So yes, the general public would have been scared, but it's just a way to expose some of the hazards that are involved with our industry and the things that we do and the systems that we have in place to mitigate against these hazards.
One of the things I want to highlight is that within the line of work that we do, the public is our steward, meaning that the public has to assist us in every way, shape, form, or fashion in monitoring the grid, helping us with highlighting whatever challenges we might have with safety, even for employees and themselves. And so while persons, and that's something I wanted to talk about, might not believe in drills, because drills is not something that we're very accustomed to doing and seeing. So really the public alarm that will arise from seeing a man limp on a pole and seeing somebody being escorted out by the police from our main office with the accusation of a robbery, while that might bring about a particular level of scare and alarm and fright and fear, there is a valid reason why it has to be done. So I want the show to be able to highlight, explain that to the fullest degree as to why we need to do drills like these.
Right. So in response to that, I think I want us to look at the glass half full. When we look at the simulation at the administration building, I mean, anybody should realize that the police would have captured the assailant. And that has to be a positive, because somebody went in to do something negative, and our first responders were able to catch the person. When you look at the downtown rescue, as the general manager said, it was the ambulance responded in under 2 minutes.
Wow.
Under 2 minutes, and they were not at the hospital base, they were actually at another site. That has to be the glass half full syndrome. Then when we look at the rescue at generation, the simulated ill employee was at the top of our diesel tank. I don't know how many persons pass and say our diesel tank, but they're very tall, and the risk of being exposed to the fumes from the chemicals could easily knock out one of our employees. The system, however, that we had in place allowed for the shift charge manager to realize that within a certain time, that employee did not return and was found on the tank. Just before that, on the Monday, we worked with Red Cross and we did what you call basic first aid, CPR, lunch and learn. And everything that our employees learn, including managers, you saw it at play. And I was showing the general manager, look, you see that he's doing, you know, a particular positioning of the individual, not knowing what is actually wrong. And the manager clearly stated that he learned that on Monday. He learned that in the exercise that we had Monday, to be able to put it in place on Wednesday. So the system worked. It's like they learned and they were able to implement. The pole top rescue, the actor, he went to St. Lucia for the Linesman Rodeo. He learned something. They came back. You saw them put it in place on Wednesday. So it's a lesson learned, implemented, observed, and we can make the corrections as we go. When you look at for me, one of the highlights would have been the bomb scare. Now, Water Services Department was not built into the exercise. Exercise Control did it specifically for SKELEC. When the police responded, it was recognized that Water Services was in too close a proximity to where the bomb was, only to realize that Water Services did not drill. They have never participated in an exercise. So as a result of SKELEC running its exercise, they had to evacuate. And so we used the opportunity at that time to be able to have a conversation with them and talk to them about the importance via the management of why we had to evacuate them and what is the best practice going forward. So everybody learned something. I think in any exercise that you do, there are going to be negatives, and with these conversations we can always neutralize those negatives, because there were so many lessons that the company took away from it. And not only that, when you partner with external entities that are part of your response mechanism on a regular basis, they themselves are able to learn things about the institution that could enhance the ability to respond. And I hear the general manager laughing because he had a very good glimpse as to the reality of the situation. Ms. Harris, when you look at the US and you see shooting in the schools, there's never a positive about that. But if we teach our employees and customers what they should do in the event that something happens, and you get that type of response from them, you could rest assured that if you hear a gunman went into SKELEC, our employees know what to do. They know exactly what to do, because we would have tested those actionable areas. And I am very, very proud of the exercise. And of course, I want to use the opportunity to apologize to the public that would not have been exposed to the fact that it was an exercise. Had we not done it in an unannounced way, persons may have prepared, crowds would have gathered before anything even happened, because they knew we were coming. To be able to get a real response, you have to create or simulate a real life set of actions. And that's what we did on Wednesday.
Well, two things I wanted to touch on before we open the phone lines is, how were we able to deal with control? Because there must have been some level of control so that the activities don't go beyond what we wanted them to be. And what's next? What policies, what's coming out of what these drills have shown us?
So with the approval from the general manager, we were able to put together a group of external responders as well as managers and employees from SKELEC to create what we would refer to as an exercise control team. And so these set of individuals were tasked with identifying what are some of the hazards that we're exposed to, how can we turn them into simulation exercises, who are the best players, what level of response, which area we're going to use, why would we use this area. And it was months of planning and conversations that would have put us in a position to be able to come up with the appropriate sites, players, responders, etc. I think for us, having conversations and having been exposed to the practices of the company would have given us the best chance of creating these simulation exercises and drills that would give us the real-time responses that we were looking for. And I can't tell you how important it is to be able to have training and development sessions, as well as to expose our employees to the harsh realities of what level of vulnerability we are exposed to as a company, as well as customers doing business with SKELEC and our employees. So I really want to place on record heartfelt gratitude to the managers and staff of SKELEC, and of course our external partners, specifically to include Fire and Rescue, EMS, Police, Defense Force, Department of Labor, Red Cross, who would have worked with us in getting these simulations off the ground and going.
We're going to take this opportunity now to open the phone lines. If you want to participate in the program, now will be the time to call in. And as you prepare to call in, I want to highlight that SKELEC was extremely technological and innovative in these drills, because we did have drone technology. That's right. Following our hurt man, the hurt man on the pole. So we did have a drone up in the air. All of these were the control mechanisms that we incorporated. We had a drone for the generation, the employee at generation who was hurt as well. So
the general manager was able to sit in exercise control and watch from beginning to.
All right. So we do have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Hello, good morning. I'm calling from the United States. I'm in New York, and I was born in the Federation. I'm 76 years old. I grew up in the West Bogart area, where the power station was right across from the ice plant. I want to know, when I was growing up, St. Kitts didn't have a lot of pole lights and poles. They used to put hurricane lamps on the pole at night. And that's how we got a light, and when the lamp burn out, then the light go down. My question is, now SKELEC is modern. Can they generate enough power for the whole island on a 24-hour basis? Because when I was young, we had a lot of blackouts. Like 11 o'clock at night, you got to get home because certain areas will go dark. So I want to know about it, can they generate enough power for the whole island on a 24-hour basis? That's my question. Thank you.
All right, good morning, caller. Thank you so much for calling. The general manager will speak specifically to the technical aspects of that question, but SKELEC does have the capacity to generate 24-hour electricity for 24 hours for the entire island. Yes, a few months ago we did have some capacity issues, but we know we don't have rolling blackouts, we don't have load shedding that takes place on a regular basis. So yes, the power plant does have the capacity. What's the capacity, Mr. Williams?
The capacity at the plant right now is well over about 35
megawatts, and we're about 20
right now, about
peak?
maybe 25
at peak. So yes, we have more than what is necessary to deal with the highest demand.
And we also have a lot of plans to expand into renewable energy through the installation of solar, wind and geothermal technology. And in the near future, we could see the interconnection of the two grids between St. Kitts and Nevis via underwater cable. So we do have the capacity and the technological aspects. We are planning to include a lot of renewable energy and resiliency into the grid in the future.
Thank you, caller. I don't think that's the first time that you have called, but we hope that you were able to get the response that you wanted this time around. All right, we have some more callers. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Yeah, good morning, Miss Electric and Mr. Electric.
Okay.
And Jiku. Now, I realized the mock thing where you all had last week Wednesday. Everything was done. The surprise was done while the guy was up on the pole. And so you all really catch a lot of people off guard. Well, I'm saying this. In the early 70s and the late 60s, a gentleman was up on a pole in Sandy Point, and he get electrocuted and dead. And in the 70s, one happened up Victoria Road, just outside the Warner Park in the afternoon. And I happened to be on the spot about the incident. Now my question is this: when those guys have to climb the pole, who have the control over the switch to make sure that no power is up on the pole where those guys are going? And recently, not when I say recently, a couple years ago, a guy lost two of his hands by electrocuted. And he was not on the ground when he got electrocuted, he was up on the pole. So that's my question. Who controls the switch when guys are climbing the pole? I will listen off the air. Thank you very much.
All right, caller, thank you so much. Mr. Williams is going to help me. So our climbers work both in live and non-live situations,
Correct.
meaning they do whatever maintenance, repair, or installation work, sometimes when the power is actually live and sometimes when the power is actually switched off.
Correct.
So that is why a lot of times when you see us send out our maintenance schedules, it's because this is our team going out into the field, and this is where they're working in non-live situations, meaning that we power off the electricity. In the event that they do work in the live scenarios, Mr. Williams, let's tell the public about that.
Okay, so everything is done through the Control and Operations Department, and they have a list of all the switching points in the system. So if they have to work in a particular area, the area will be isolated. If it's overhead line, they remove the fuses, they open them and they remove them. So there's no way anybody at all can reclose them until the job is finished, the line is clear. And if they're in a substation, they would fly either a jet force switch or one disable switches, and then they would put a lockout tag on it. So we have a lockout tag out system, and in the areas where you can remove the fuses totally, you remove them 100%.
So there are safety mechanisms in place, and we'll continue to build upon these, especially now that we have the safety and security department, because we don't want any instances at all of our employees becoming electrocuted.
Correct.
Any sort of fatalities at all at work. That is why we're strengthening our ability to improve how protected our employees are and enforcing the policies that we're putting in place. So rest assured, I hope we really do feel assured that these will not happen in the near future. All right, we have one more caller. Good morning, caller, you're live. Two more callers. All right. Good morning.
I'd like to commend you all on the exercises. I've been a part of exercises, and I've seen exercise, and the general public don't respond favorable. Especially a couple months ago, they had an exercise, and I remember that the police was giving instruction, and person was just walking around and paying attention to the exercise. But I commend you all, and I wish a lot of company do the same thing. Thanks.
Thank you so much, caller. All right, GQ, we have one more caller. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Yes, good morning. Good program, but the other day, somebody threatened me, tell me about somebody get executed in town, and I was wondering what carelessness you all do if you all little switch out this switch. Mr. Bouncing Williamson, have a blessed afternoon, a blessed day, and the callers, you're from the boys, West Swamp.
Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your call. There was no carelessness, there was no recklessness. This was a simulation exercise being done by SKELEC through our Safety and Security Department. As you heard, there was control. There was a group of persons who planned the exercise over a few months. They were in a control area where they monitored everything via drone and all of the different video technologies. All of the players were a part of it. So EMS were aware, the police were aware, the fire services were aware, Red Cross, they were aware as well. So this was a coordinated effort. No carelessness at all.
And as for the gentleman on the pole, he was wearing what in the industry called a super squeeze. It's actually a belt that goes around the pole, and it has a spike on one end and a grip on the other. So it grips the pole securely. It does not move. Does not move. And he trusted his equipment 110% to know that he could have leaned back. He said at first he realized the guys weren't moving fast enough, so he leaned back some more to make it seem more realistic.
And
it worked because they started to think that he was gonna fall out his belt.
Oh.
So when he did that, they went into overdrive.
Yes.
I saw one of the employees, Jamal, run faster than Usain Bolt.
Yes.
You know, and it shows the camaraderie that is between the team. They don't want to see anything happen to anybody. So they always make sure they check the gloves. They have low voltage gloves, which is up to 600 volts for when they're working on live low voltage. They sharpen their spikes regularly. They have the spike covers for when they're not climbing. They put the covers on if they're just walking around, so that it doesn't hit any stone or anything and become dull. The super squeeze, since about 2018 thereabout, we changed all the linesman belts to the super squeeze. So every linesman in SKELEC that climbs has a super squeeze with a double D-ring belt, which a crossover lanyard. So no matter what they're doing, there will always be one point of contact on the pole at all times. So even if they have to cross over an obstacle, they would put the lanyard over on top, then release the super squeeze, climb up past the obstacle, and then put back the super squeeze on. So there's always at least one point of contact at all times when the linesmen are climbing.
All right, Mr. Williams, thank you for that. I'm going to allow Mrs. Langley Stevens to provide her closing and parting words, and really give a special shout out to all of the players who were involved in these simulation drills.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. So on behalf of the Safety and Security Department, the Exercise Control Team, our management team at SKELEC, our General Manager, and of course our Board of Directors, it's always a privilege to be able to engage in these interactive simulation exercises where objectives are set. We know what we're looking for in these exercises. We get persons who share similar interests to partner with us, and also to be able to see benefits that they can derive as well from these exercises. I want to assure the public that there were levels of control to the simulation exercises. There was video via drone, as well as observer status in terms of the observation and evaluation of these exercises. We had management on site to be able to make sure that if a real event occurred, that we were able to end exercise mode and to give a real response. For all of the exercises, we were very responsible as a company and as a committee, where we had Red Cross on standby, as well as our own staff support coordinator, who really jumped into action, especially during the pole top rescue, where the community themselves thought it was a real occurrence, and she provided a level of comfort and guidance to those in need. What these exercises and the responses from the general public is saying to SKELEC is that they are our partners. They're truly our partners because the responsiveness and the alertness and the interest that they showed in how we were dealing with the matter would have indicated that SKELEC is not alone. And that's the type of approach that we are looking for as a company. We want an all-inclusive type approach because we provide a service of and for people, and we want to make sure that they're a part of the process, that we provide that service as safe and as efficient as possible. So the Safety and Security Department continues to be vigilant, to be able to accept recommendations as a company as to how we can work together to ensure that safety truly remains our number one priority. And we would have learned the value of that in last week, overall week of activities, but more so on the day of simulation drills. And like I said, to most persons, a lot of people are not aware what it takes to keep the lights on. And Wednesday was just a glimpse into some of the snippets of what we do as a company to be able to continue to provide and to aim at being not only the safest utility but the best utility there is. So it was really something that we're looking forward to, and I know that simulation day next year would be even better because you would have learned the lessons and have the opportunity to implement them. So thanks for all of the continued support on behalf of the department and the company overall.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Langley Stevens. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for being on here with us today. I want to take this opportunity to encourage members of the public to participate in SKELEC's Mother's Day promotion. We have a promotion right now where you can win up to $500 free electricity from SKELEC. How do you become eligible? You create a video to tell us how much you love your mom and why your mom is a power mom. We upload that to our Facebook page, and the video with the most likes, that is the winner of our $500 free electricity promotion. So I know we have some exceptional power moms out there, and we want the children to tell us why your moms are power moms. It doesn't have to be children as in under the age of 18 or 16. It can also be adults to tell us why your mom is a power mom. So have that video in by the 10th of May. Send it to communications@skelec.kn, and we will certainly love to hear about why your mom is so awesome. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Power Talk. We'll be back in about another week. I think the 17th we're going to be back, and we do hope that you continue to be involved, call in, ask your questions, share your concerns, make your reports, because remember, SKELEC is the nation's leading utility provider, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Bye bye.
In long ATM lines to withdraw cash. Use your national debit or black cards to complete a wide variety of transactions at supermarkets, variety stores, gas stations,